The first slap came out of nowhere. It cracked through the ballroom, sharp enough to cut through music, laughter, and glass. A tray hit the floor, shattered. Wine spilled like blood across white marble. The maid staggered, barely catching herself before hitting the ground. "Useless girl," the woman in diamonds snapped, and struck her again, harder. Heads turned, eyes watched. No one moved. Because this wasn't just any party. This was his, and everyone knew what happened to people who caused scenes in his presence. The maid dropped to her knees, trembling, trying to gather broken glass with shaking hands. A piece sliced into her palm. She didn't even react, didn't dare. "Clean it," the woman ordered coldly, lifting her chin, "or I'll have you thrown out myself." The girl nodded quickly, whispering apologies under her breath. Still, no one stepped in. Not the men in suits, not the guards, not the women pretending not to stare, because power had already chosen its side. Then, the doors opened. Everything stopped. Not slowly, instantly. The music cut mid-beat. Conversations died. Even the air seemed to pull back. Adrian Volkov walked in. No announcement, no warning, just presence. And suddenly, every person in that room remembered exactly who they were and who they weren't. The woman in diamonds froze, her hand still raised. The guards straightened. A man near the bar stepped back like he'd just remembered how to breathe. Because when Adrian entered, control followed. His gaze moved slowly across the room, measured, unhurried, like he already owned everything he saw. Then it stopped, on the girl, still kneeling, still bleeding, still invisible to everyone else. The woman in diamonds quickly recovered, forcing a smile. "Mr. Volkov, I was just handling a situation." "Leave." The word was quiet, but it landed like a verdict. She blinked. Excuse me?" Adrian didn't look at her. "I don't repeat myself." 2 guards moved instantly. No hesitation, no discussion. Within seconds, she was gone, her protest swallowed by the closing doors. Silence stretched across the room, heavy, uncomfortable, final. Adrian stepped forward, once, twice, each step slower than the last. The maid's breath hitched. She kept her head down, her hands trembling over broken glass. His shoes stopped in front of her. For a moment, nothing. Then, "You're bleeding." Her fingers froze. "It's nothing, sir," she whispered quickly. A lie. Blood slipped down her wrist, staining the floor. He crouched, controlled, deliberate, every movement precise. A ripple of shock passed through the room. They had never seen this. Not him, not like this. His hand reached out, paused, then took her wrist. Firm, steady, not gentle, but not cruel. She flinched anyway. And that's when it happened, the moment no one expected. "I haven't been paid in weeks," she whispered. Too quiet, too honest, too late to take back. Her eyes widened instantly. She tried to pull away. His grip tightened, just slightly, enough to stop her. The entire room heard it, every word, every breath, and more importantly, so did he. Adrian didn't react right away. His thumb brushed lightly over the cut on her palm, smearing the blood as if confirming it was real. "You spoke," he said. Not surprised, not angry, certain. "I'm sorry," she rushed out. "I didn't mean to." Look at me. The command was soft, absolute. Her head lifted before she could stop it, and for the first time, she met his eyes. Fear hit first, cold, sharp. But she didn't look away, didn't lower her gaze, and that changed everything. Something shifted in his expression, not warmth, not kindness, something far more dangerous, interest. You haven't been paid, he repeated. Her voice trembled. No, sir. A pause, long enough to make the entire room hold its breath. Then he stood. Distance returned, but the tension didn't. If anything, it sharpened. Adrian turned slightly, his voice cutting across the silence. Who is responsible for staff wages? A man stepped forward, already sweating. Sir, there must be a misunderstanding. There isn't. The words landed hard, final. The man's face drained, and everyone in the room felt it. Something had shifted, not because of the slap, not because of the chaos, but because of her. Because in a room full of powerful people, she was the only one who told the truth. Adrian glanced at her once more, brief, intentional, unmistakable. Out of everyone there, he was looking only at her. And somehow, that was the most dangerous thing of all. The man didn't finish his sentence. A gun clicked behind him, not loud, but final. His voice died instantly. Sweat gathered on his forehead as his hands trembled. I can fix it, he rushed out. Adrian didn't look at him. Fix implies it was accidental, he said calmly. This wasn't. Silence tightened across the room. Lena stood where he left her, still bleeding, still shaking. But no longer invisible, because now everyone was watching her, and that felt worse. I'll pay her, the man continued. Double, triple, whatever you want. Adrian raised one finger. The man stopped speaking immediately. No one interrupted him. No one dared. You ignored her, Adrian said, for weeks. Each word landed hard. You let her work. You let her bleed. You let her stay quiet. The man's knees bent slightly. Sir, please. Remove him. 2 guards stepped forward instantly. No hesitation, no delay. The man's voice broke into panic as they dragged him away, his pleas echoing. No one followed. No one reacted. Because once Adrian decided, it was over. The doors shut. Silence returned. But this time, it carried weight. Adrian turned back to Lena. And just like that, everything else disappeared again. What's your name? He asked. The question caught her off guard, because no one had asked her that in weeks. Lena, she said softly. He repeated it once. Lena, like he was locking it into memory. You've worked here 6 months. It wasn't a guess. Yes, sir. And no one paid you. No, sir. A pause, then, why didn't you leave? Her throat tightened. I needed the job, she said quietly. His gaze didn't soften, but something in it sharpened. Not pity, something else, something that noticed. Behind them, whispers spread, confusion, disbelief. Because Adrian Volkov wasn't supposed to stand here, talking to her. Look at me, he said. Her stomach twisted. Slowly, she lifted her eyes and held his gaze. Fear was still there, but something else had joined it. Resolve. That was new. That was dangerous, because it meant she wasn't breaking. And Adrian noticed. He stepped closer, not enough to touch, enough to feel. "You told the truth," he said. Her lips parted slightly. "I didn't think." "That's why you did it." A pause, then he reached into his jacket. The room tensed again. Every movement he made carried meaning. He pulled out a small black card, simple, unmarked except for a number. He held it out to her. "Take it." She hesitated, just for a second, long enough for him to see it. Not fear, uncertainty. She wasn't used to being given anything. "Take it," he repeated, softer. She did. Her fingers brushed his. Heat shot through her instantly. Unexpected, unsettling. Her eyes dropped to the card. "What is this?" she asked before she could stop herself. The room stiffened. That was twice now. 2 risks. But Adrian didn't react with anger. "If anyone refuses you again," he said, "you call that number." Her heart pounded. "I don't understand." "You don't need to." His voice lowered slightly. "I heard you." 3 words, simple, but they hit deeper than anything else, because no one ever had. Not until now. Her grip tightened around the card. It felt heavier than it should, because it wasn't just paper. It was power, and you was handing it to her. Adrian stepped back. Distance returned, but the tension stayed. Stronger now, more defined. He turned, already done with the room, already moving forward, like this moment should end here. But just before he walked away, he stopped. Without turning, he said, "Don't kneel again." The words settled into her. Then he left. And the room finally exhaled. Noise returned slowly, whispers, movement, but none of it reached her, because Lena stood frozen, staring at the card in her hand, her pulse loud, her thoughts spinning, her world no longer the same. Because out of everyone in that room, he didn't just notice her, he chose her. And deep down, she understood something terrifying. This wasn't kindness. This of something else. Because men like Adrian Volkov didn't give power away. They claimed. And now, he had... The first knock came at midnight. Sharp, deliberate, like a warning. Lena froze, the card still clutched in her hand. She shouldn't have been here. Not alone. Not after everything tonight. But Adrian's card had changed that. It was a key, a shield, and a challenge all at once. The knock came again, louder this time, harder. Her pulse thumped. Against her better judgment, she approached the door. "Who is it?" she asked, voice trembling. No answer. Only the second knock, louder, impatient. She opened the door slightly. A shadow slipped through. Smooth, silent. Adrian Volkov. Not announcing, not explaining, not waiting for permission. He stopped inside just past the threshold. The door clicked shut behind him, sealing the room. Her body tensed. "I told you not to kneel," he said softly, but his voice carried authority. She swallowed. Yes, sir." He didn't smile, not yet. Instead, he scanned the room. Then his eyes returned to her. "Did you show them the card?" I haven't used it," she admitted. A brief pause. He stepped closer. His presence filled the room, pressing against her, pulling the air tight. You know what it means, don't you? She shook her head. It's more than money, more than protection, he said. It's a statement that I see you, that I decide who matters. Her fingers tightened around the card, heart hammering. The tension was unbearable. I don't understand, she whispered. You will, he said, voice low, deliberate. But first, you need to learn something. He moved past her, hands brushing lightly against the edge of the table. The touch wasn't casual. It was a demonstration. A demonstration of control. A subtle reminder that every move, every breath, every heartbeat in his presence was his domain. She realized it immediately. She could obey, or she could resist, but she could not ignore. He returned his gaze to her. You've been invisible. That ends tonight. The words struck her like fire. But, she started, then paused. You have a choice, he interrupted, but it's a rare one. Most people I notice once. Most people I never notice again. You're the exception. Remember that. She nodded, though her mind raced faster than she could speak. A knock on the door startled her. He ignored it. Do they interrupt me? She asked quietly. Sometimes, he said, but not tonight. Not now. You're the only one I'm focused on. The weight of it made her knees weak. She hadn't realized the truth until that moment. Out of everyone he could have noticed, everyone he could have destroyed, he chose her. The air between them crackled with something she couldn't name. Danger, yes, but also consideration. Sit, he said finally. She obeyed immediately, aware it wasn't a suggestion. He leaned against the wall, arms crossed, eyes studying her. Tell me everything, he said. Her heart jumped. Everything? Your day, your life, the truth about what no one listens to. Start with the wages, then everything else. She hesitated. The words tasted dangerous on her tongue, but there was no one else, no one watching, no threat, just him, and his attention was absolute. She began to speak, tentatively at first, then faster, words spilling out like water breaking a dam. She confessed every indignity, every moment of being overlooked, every fear she had endured quietly. And he listened, not interrupting, not judging, not commanding. He just listened, which was worse, because his silence carried the weight of decision. Every admission was a test, every confession a judgment. She finished, trembling, and looked up. Adrian's eyes didn't soften. They sharpened. Yes, he said finally. I see you. That's the first rule of my world. You exist. That alone is enough for now. Her chest rose and fell in rapid breaths. Relief? Fear? Desire? She couldn't tell. He stepped closer. Tomorrow, he said, voice low, you will see what it means to be chosen. And just like that, he left. The door clicked. She was alone again. Except she wasn't. Her heart still beat like it belonged to him. Her world had shifted. She knew one truth. From now on, nothing would ever be the same. The knock came just before dawn. Lena's stomach sank. Her body had barely recovered from last night, but the sound carried authority that made her rise immediately. She didn't need to ask who it was. The card in her hand burned like a promise. She opened the door. Adrian stood there, silent, motionless. The faintest shadow of a smirk brushed his lips. "You're early," she whispered, heart racing. He didn't answer. He stepped inside, smooth, precise, dominant. The room seemed to shrink around him. "Sit," he commanded. She obeyed instantly. He watched, and that was worse. The silence stretched, pressing against her chest, until she realized this was part of the test. "I want to see if you understand what it means to be chosen," he said finally, voice low. She tilted her head, uncertain. I think so?" "Think?" His eyes narrowed, sharp, dangerous. "You don't think in my world. You act. You obey. You survive." Her pulse spiked. Every word felt like a countdown. He circled her slowly like a predator, like he owned the air she breathed. "Yesterday you told the truth," he continued. "Most people don't. Most people lie. They hide. They kneel and hope the world forgets them." "I didn't hide," she said, trembling. He stopped behind her chair, close enough for her to feel the heat of his presence. "You didn't, and that is why I noticed you. That is why you exist now. But existence alone isn't enough." "What do you want me to do?" she asked softly. He paused, let her feel the question's weight. "Follow instructions, without hesitation, without fear, without question. That is the first test." Her stomach nodded. "Instructions?" "Yes," he said, finally moving away and gesturing to the desk. "Take this." From his pocket he produced a sealed envelope. Black, heavy. Her name written on it in sharp, deliberate handwriting. She took it carefully, aware that every movement was under scrutiny. "Open it." Her fingers shook. She peeled back the seal. Inside was a single photograph. Her apartment. The door slightly ajar. A shadow at the window. Her breath hitched. Who?" "Observe," he interrupted. "Notice without panic. Understand without fleeing. This is the difference between fear and awareness." Her hands tightened around the photo. Every muscle in her body wanted to run, but she remembered his words. She obeyed. His eyes never left hers. "Good," he said softly. "You didn't scream. You didn't call anyone. You understood the message and reported to me instead." She swallowed hard. "Report?" "Yes, always report. That is how you survive in my world. You follow. You observe. You act only when instructed. Do you understand?" She nodded, trembling. "Report it," he commanded. I follow, I observe, and I act only when instructed," she said, voice low. He studied her closely, for a long moment. Then, unexpectedly, he stepped forward. "Look at me," he said. She obeyed, heart pounding. "You passed the first test. Not because of courage," he continued, voice steady, measured, "but because you obeyed when you could have panicked. Most people fail that test before they even see it coming." Her chest rose and fell rapidly. Relief? Fear? Something else? He leaned closer, closer than necessary, the air between them thick, charged. "Tomorrow," he said quietly, almost a whisper, "you will learn the cost of failure and the reward of success. Remember this: I see everything. I choose everything. You will be tested again and again." She nodded, unable to speak. A quiet laugh slipped from his lips, soft and dangerous. "Do not mistake my observation for kindness," he said, stepping back. "This is a privilege, a rare one. Few people ever experience it. You're not safe. You're not protected. You're chosen." The word echoed in her mind. Chosen. It should have comforted her. It didn't. It terrified her. Because being chosen meant he controlled her world, and control had consequences. He turned toward the door, already leaving, but paused once. "Sleep carefully," he said over his shoulder. "I will see you at dawn." The door clicked. Alone again, Lena sank into her chair, the envelope trembling in her hands. Her pulse raced, adrenaline thick in her veins. She understood something clearly now. Being noticed by Adrian Volkov was a test. Being chosen by him was survival. And she had just begun the first lesson. Nothing in her life would ever be the same. She didn't know whether to be terrified or grateful, but deep down she understood one truth. This was only the beginning, and she was already hooked. The city slept, but Adrian did not. Lena's name ran through his mind like fire through veins. Every decision, every movement, every breath he took somehow brought her back to the forefront of his thoughts. She had survived the first tests. She had obeyed. She had acted when required. But now, he wanted more. He arrived at her apartment unannounced. The street was empty. The only sound was her pulse pounding as she opened the door. "You came," she whispered. "I always come," he said, voice low, controlled, dangerous. She wanted to step back. She didn't, because stepping back wasn't an option. He stepped inside, closing the door behind him. The click echoed like a verdict. "I need to see how far you will go," he said. Her pulse spiked. "How far?" He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he moved closer. His gaze locked on hers, piercing, absolute. "You've been chosen," he said. "Not by luck, not by chance, by observation, by my will." The words wrapped around her chest like chains. "And now, Lena." He stopped, measuring. "You will prove it. To me. To yourself." She swallowed. "What do I have to do?" He circled her slowly, like a predator savoring the hunt. "Follow me. No questions. No hesitation." Every fiber of her being wanted to flee, but she didn't. She obeyed. They exited into the street. The city was quiet, but danger lingered in every shadow. Adrian's presence made the world contract. Every passerby seemed insignificant. He stopped in front of an unmarked building. The lights were dim, the door rusty. "Inside," he commanded. She stepped in, heart hammering. The room was bare except for a single chair in the center. "Sit," he said. She obeyed. A door slammed behind him, locked. "Good," he said, voice echoing slightly. "Now, show me your loyalty." Her stomach twisted. "Loyalty? How?" He pulled out a small envelope. Inside, cash. Enough to pay her months of wages, and more. "Take it," he said. She hesitated. "Why?" "Do not question the gift," he interrupted. "Acceptance is obedience. Obedience is survival. You are chosen, Lena. Remember that." Her hands shook as she took it. He stepped closer. The air between them thickened. "Now tell me," he said. "Tell me your truth. Not to survive, but to be seen." Her voice trembled. I never expected anyone to notice me. I never thought. He tilted his head. You've been invisible your whole life? Now you aren't. That is power. She swallowed hard. Power? Yes. He knelt slightly so his eyes met hers. The power to be heard. The power to be seen. The power I grant. But it comes with a cost. Her pulse raced. Cost? You will follow. You will obey. You will trust me. And if you fail, his eyes darkened, you will regret it. She nodded slowly, understanding the weight. You're afraid, he observed. Yes, she admitted, but I also trust you. A brief pause, then, almost imperceptibly, his lips curved. Not a smile, but an acknowledgement. Good, he said, because from this moment, everything changes. Your world, my world, now intersect. And that intersection is only for the chosen. He stood. Step by step, he circled her, asserting dominance without touching her. Every inch measured, every movement controlled. Remember this, he said quietly, leaning close. No one else will ever see you the way I do. Not your friends, not your enemies, not even me, unless you allow it. She met his gaze, understanding the meaning. Fear, desire, power, they were all tangled together, and she didn't want to break away. Now, he said finally, stepping back, stand. You are no longer invisible. You are mine, chosen. Her chest rose and fell rapidly. Her hands gripped the envelope tightly. For the first time, she felt powerful. Because the man who controlled empires, who bent cities to his will, had stopped. He had chosen her. And in that choice, everything changed. The world shifted beneath her feet. Danger, desire, power, obsession, all interwoven in a single truth. She belonged to Adrian Volkov, and he would never let her go. The door opened, and the night swallowed them both.